Hello everyone. Back again with film recaps. In this video, I'm going to recap one of the psychological thriller films from 2022, titled Soft and Quiet. Before we get to the storyline, I'd like to wish everyone a happy and great day. Without further ado, let's get straight to the storyline. The movie opens with a woman named Emily, who enters a bathroom and nervously takes a pregnancy test. But the result is not what she expected, which causes her to become deeply distressed. Upon exiting the building, she approaches a little boy, and we learn that Emily is an elementary school teacher. It turns out the boy's mom is running late to pick him up, so Emily begins chatting with him. But her attention is soon drawn to a janitor, so she asks the boy to go up to the woman, and make it clear that she cannot mop the floor until he leaves, as he could have hurt himself. The boy is hesitant, but Emily asks him to be a brave man and stand up for himself. The boy thus approaches the janitor, right when his mom shows up at the school. Emily then exaggerates the situation, claiming that the janitor was mopping right when the boy was walking, causing him to almost slip, so she asked him to stand up for himself. The boy's mother thanks her, and tells her that she will be a great mom, which makes Emily emotional. After the mother and son leave, Emily also leaves the school with food in her hand, and heads to a meeting she had planned with her friends. On the way, she gets a call from someone at a prison, but she decides not to answer it. She follows a long path through a small forest, and comes across another woman looking lost. The woman reveals that she's looking for her friend, Kim, so Emily reveals that she's also meeting Kim, and says she is the organizer of this little get-together. The woman introduces herself as Leslie, after which both begin walking together. Soon, they enter a church, where there are several women already waiting, and they all excitedly greet Emily. Emily then puts her pie on the table, and we shockingly see a swastika sign, which is a symbol of the Nazis, but no one seems to be offended by this, and begins giggling as if it is very normal. After sharing the pie with everyone, Emily starts the meeting by expressing how proud she is of her heritage. Emily then opens up, and reveals how she really wants to be a mother, but there has been no success so far. She thinks God has something bigger in store for her, which she believes is this club. She urges everyone to share their story, and we then see the name of their club, which is Daughters for Aryan Unity. Next, a woman named Marjorie speaks up, and reveals that she has been working hard at a company for 2 years, and was hoping to progress. But it turns out her manager gave the promotion to a Colombian girl instead of her, even though she came in after Marjorie. When she asked her manager about it, he told her that it was because Marjorie lacks leadership skills. But she thinks that it is just because the woman is brown, and companies these days only care about diversity. She thinks it was unfair to her, and Emily and the other women completely agree with her. Marjorie also complains about how Asians come over, and take all the companies, and there is nothing left for her in her own country. Just then, the other women make a hand gesture depicting a hate symbol, which makes Marjorie feel comforted. After this, another woman named Alice speaks up, and reveals she joined this community because she feels alone. She is also very troubled by Black Lives Matter, and says that their lives matter as well, but no one talks about that. She becomes very upset thinking about it, so another woman, Jessica, approaches to comfort her. Next, Jessica begins to tell her story, and says her father was the president of a white supremacist group, the KKK, in Nebraska, and she has been a member all her life. She reveals how the media portrays them as big scary monsters, but she is just a normal person who has 4 kids, and is pregnant with her 5th child. She strongly believes multiculturalism never works, and that's why she joined this group, to meet like-minded people. Following this, another woman, Kim, speaks up and says she is a mother of 2, and wanted to have more kids, but they're expensive. She tried to get a loan, but the Jewish-owned bank refused her, and she finds it disheartening that these people are gradually taking over the country right under their noses. She reveals how she runs a store, where several immigrant kids arrive to cause a ruckus and steal stuff. Kim also states that she and Emily have planned on making newsletters and magazines, so they can spread their ideas to a large number of people. Then it's Leslie's turn to speak up, and she reveals that she is an ex-convict, and was recently released from prison, after which Kim took her in. She is so grateful to Kim, and that's why she came here on her invitation, to help in any way she can. Next, Emily starts talking again, and says how feminism is trying to make them masculine, and destroying their family. She becomes emotional, so the women there start complimenting her beauty, and assure her she is doing a great job by organizing this meeting. They suggest taking notes of the meeting, and sending everyone an email, but Jessica says maybe they shouldn't leave a trail like that. But this offends Emily, and she demands to know what they have discussed that could possibly be illegal to fear. Next, Kim says she needs homeschool materials, because she doesn't like what they're teaching her kids, so Emily offers to help with that. She reveals that her dream is to write children's books, and Leslie says maybe she should dream further, and consider opening her own school in the future. Emily appreciates that idea, after which she shows the group her drawings, and explains she learned to draw from her brother. And then, as the meeting continues, the women start speaking more harshly, and insulting the other communities. Marjorie suggests they should keep a list of all immigrants in the area, so they know where these people live. Alice even says they should scold the African parents in front of their kids, so they would know their parent is the root cause of their embarrassment. Just then, the meeting is interrupted by the priest, who takes Emily for a private conversation. He is horrified by what these women have been talking about, and asks Emily's group to leave immediately, promising he won't report her. Emily is disappointed, and to save face, she excitedly invites her friends to her place for wine. Kim, Jessica and Alice refuse since they have work to do, but the rest of the women agree. After exiting the church, they decide to go to Kim's store first, so they can get some wine. Emily then calls her husband, Craig, and asks him to pick her up at the store, to which he agrees. Kim gives Leslie, Emily, and Marjorie a ride, after which they drive away from there. On the way, Leslie says she has some vintage clothes that she wants to sell, and is willing to donate the money to their magazines. But she needs someone to model them, and asks Emily because she is very pretty. Emily is also flattered by her compliment, and agrees to help her. Shortly after, the group arrives at the store, where Emily begins looking for the wines. Moments later, two mixed Asian sisters named Anne and Lily walk in, which causes Emily to hide for some reason. Kim and Leslie are immediately hostile upon seeing them, and ask them to leave since the store is closed. Anne says they just need a quick wine, and promises to buy the expensive one, but Kim refuses to give them service, after which Lily gets upset and insults her. And then notices Emily in the distance, which makes her uncomfortable, and she tries to leave. However, Emily stops them, and orders them to buy the most expensive wine like they promised, so Anne reluctantly buys a bottle of wine worth $300. But as the sisters try to leave, Marjorie stops them, and asks Anne if she's a whore, or a thief for carrying so much cash. Anne clarifies she's a waitress, but all the racist women begin to hurl all kinds of derogatory remarks at the poor sisters. When Marjorie pushes Anne, Lily defends her sister, which leads to a physical fight, so Kim points a gun at the sisters and kicks them out, but before leaving, Lily insults them, and even badmouths Emily's brother. Here, it is revealed that the brother is in prison for assaulting Anne, and Emily begins losing her mind, right when Craig arrives and asks what the hell is going on, so Kim reveals that the girl who sent Emily's brother to jail was here and insulted her. But when Emily continues crying, Leslie says they should go to Anne's house to take revenge, and even Marjorie supports this idea. Leslie says they won't do much except defecate in their tub, or steal their passports. Emily is unsure, but when Kim says she will also support it, she finally agrees. Craig, however, is opposed to this idea, and says it's a felony, but Emily asks him if he is a coward, who is willing to let his wife be disrespected by others. In the end, Craig reluctantly agrees to go with them, but asks the women to leave their phones at the store, so the cops can't trace them. Following this, the group gets in the vehicle, and Emily guides them to head to Anne's house, which is in a fancy suburb. They soon arrive at the house, and Marjorie comments that it's bigger than her apartment, so Emily reveals that Anne inherited it from her late mother. Up next, they notice that no one is inside, except a puppy, and decide to break in. Leslie finds a hidden key nearby, after which they enter inside, and begin causing a ruckus, so Craig gives them 4 minutes, and heads outside to keep watch. Next, the women begin drinking beer from the fridge, after which Marjorie starts playing the piano, while Leslie destroys a glass. Meanwhile, Emily and Kim arrive at the bedroom, where they begin looking for the passport. Kim eventually finds it, after which the women begin celebrating, and suggest what they should do next. Here Craig arrives and urges them to leave, but they refuse to listen, and consider burning the passport right there. But then, things turn intense when someone pulls up outside, so the group immediately rush to hide. Craig is visibly furious at the situation his wife has dragged him into. Moments later, Anne enters the home, but she can't find her dog, and upon seeing the mess, she instantly realizes someone has been here. She leaves to call for help, but Craig panics about the consequences, and grabs her before dragging her inside. He apologizes frantically, insisting it was just a practical joke, but the women swiftly tie up Anne, and tape her mouth. Upon seeing all this, Craig realizes things are getting out of control, and says they need to stop now because this is becoming a serious crime. When no one listens to him, he decides to leave alone, and comes across Lily outside. Craig worries she might call the cops, so he grabs her, and brings her inside as well. However, an idiot Kim now pulls out her gun and threatens to kill the sisters if they try to resist. Emily then tries to calm her panicked husband, but Craig curses at her before storming out of the house. However, Leslie tells Emily that they don't need him, and that she deserves better than such a cowardly husband. Next, the racist women discuss privately what they must do, and Leslie says they need to scare the girls so much that they won't dare go to the cops. Kim begins crying while thinking about her children, so Leslie asks her not to worry, reminding her that Kim has good relations with the cops around town. Plus, they can clean up all the traces of evidence, and that no one will do anything to them. The other women agree, after which they approach the sisters, and start harassing them. Marjorie even plays loud music, and begins drinking while enjoying the moment. To make things worse, they begin force-feeding Lily, putting peanuts in her mouth, and even pouring alcohol directly. They smear thick cream in her hair, and begin torturing Anne as well. Marjorie then uses Anne's phone to record a video, which makes Emily furious because the video could expose them later. Moments later, Lily begins having difficulty breathing and soon starts choking, which causes panic among everyone. They remove Anne's tape, after which she frantically reveals that her sister is allergic to peanuts, and needs her EpiPen. Lily begins foaming from her mouth, while Anne pleads with the women to help her sister. Soon, Leslie brings the EpiPen, but it turns out to be too late, and the girl has already passed away. This leaves poor Anne devastated, but Leslie doesn't seem the slightest bit worried, and says it's her own fault for disrespecting them. Meanwhile, a panicked Emily accuses Leslie of everything, but the latter tries to justify it by saying they did it all for Emily. And so, Marjorie yells that it's nobody's fault, since they didn't know the girl had a peanut allergy. After a moment of contemplation, Emily pulls herself together, and asks everyone to wear gloves, so they can clean the place and remove their traces. But then, an evil Leslie comes up with another bizarre idea, and says they need to make it look like an assault, because in that case, no one would suspect women to be the culprits. Her friends agree with her, after which Leslie uses a carrot to horrifically assault Anne, while telling her that it's all her fault. The poor woman screams in pain and pleads for mercy, but Leslie seems like a psychopath who doesn't even show the slightest compassion. Next, Emily apologizes for yelling at Leslie earlier since she was just panicked. She says she can't do this, and asks Leslie to take care of Anne, to which the latter agrees without hesitation. Even in such a dire moment, Leslie talks about her clothing store, and asks Emily to model for them, to which Emily agrees. Following this, Leslie grabs a pillow, and finally suffocates Anne to death, while Emily hurries to clean up the mess. Moments later, the women wrap the dead bodies in a huge bag, and proceed to load them into their vehicle. Marjorie begins having a panic attack because of everything, so Emily asks her to breathe and helps calm her down. They all try to reassure each other by saying that after they dump the bodies in the lake, they will return and clean everything so no one will ever find out. On the way, Leslie says they should just grab a shovel and dump the body in the woods, which leads to another argument between her and Emily. Leslie threatens to abandon her, and says she will leave right now, so Emily apologizes and asks her to stay. And then all of a sudden, We see someone is moving inside the body bag, but the deranged women fail to notice it. Shortly after, the group reaches a lake, where they load the body onto a small boat. After that, Emily and Leslie begin paddling across the water. Upon reaching the middle of the lake, they finally dump the body, and depart while thinking they've gotten away with a perfect crime. But as the movie ends, we see Anne shockingly emerging from the water, revealing that she is still alive, and the murderers will not escape justice. Okay guys, thanks for watching. See you again in the next video.